Okay, so we were discussing about structured programming. So I just told you that in normal programming, whatever we does, like we when we have a big software or we write complex programs, if we keep on writing line by line, the complexity of the program increases, and it is also very difficult for us to remember the flow of the code. Right. So as I told you that for a program, when you have a like line by line statements are there, so what happens, you cannot modify the program later when you forget the flow of control, like which part to change. So instead, if you have like a big software and you introduce like use of functions, then what happens, use of functions is helpful in like if you use a function, then obviously that function can be called every time, so like it reduces to the number of lines of code, right? So that is known as the structured programming. So it will help to reduce the coding time and also the code like organize the code properly. So that is why if you don't use function, then what happens, you have to write every lines of statement every time you implement the same function. Okay. But when you make the like when you write the when you write a function, then what happens, that function become reusable. Whenever you use that function, instead of writing that function again and again, what you can do is you can just call the function. Okay, so that is known as the structured programming. It makes the program more efficient, and also suppose if you find you need to modify it at a later stage, you can just clearly just change that part of the function and your program will work fine. Otherwise, when you write one line by line, you have to modify in each part of the code, each statement. You have to find out, okay, where I have written this statement, and like if you have done some mistake, then all your program will give error. But when you do it, when you write like when you break the program into small functions, then what happens, you are able to modify it, and you know which part of the program has error, why it is not working, so you are able to detect it properly. Okay, so this is known as structured programming. So developers, they go for this structured programming. Why? Because they can modify it, they need to modify it at a later stage. Next, now this structured programming will be using these three main concepts. So first is the top-down analysis. So first we'll see about the top-down analysis. So here, top-down analysis are here the entire program is broken down into, your problem is broken down into small pieces, and then what happens, we break the small like we solve the small programs or problems individually. Okay, in that case, and each program, like each part of the problem has its own significance. You cannot ignore it. Okay, this is a smaller, this is a simple program, so just like ignore it. It's not so. So in top down approach, so instead of like thinking an entire software and working on that like totally on its own, what we are doing, we are breaking the entire software into small problems, and then they are like solving it individually. So what happens is, it's like now we know what is the main purpose of it. If we like share among the teams, we exactly know what is the part of the like software we are doing, right? Suppose if we there is an entire system for bus reservation system. Think, okay, so bus reservation system, if you take the entire software to code, it will take like if you then if any changes you want to include in the later stage, obviously it will include error also and you will face problem. But what you do, if you break into small like entire bus reservation into small parts, like one is a login part, one is a registration part, one is the like book ticket part, one is a cancel ticket part, then what you know, it's like you can solve these problems individually. Okay, so your booking part, okay, I have to like do something with the database that needs to like push the data into the database, right? Because booking means you are entering your details and that needs to be saved in the database, that is inserting, right? Check. like if you don't divide it into separate problems, so what happens? The entire problem remains. Okay, so you have to write it. Think how will the program look like. Okay, so it will like if you include in the same like if you write in the same manner, if you don't break down and you don't make it a function, so what happens is you are writing the login in one page, you are writing the registration in one page, you are writing the um, what I said, booking in one page, cancellation in one page. Okay, any special request you are writing in the same, available seat you are making in one page, so it will be more complex also. And by one, if someone sees your program, they will be also scared by checking the complexity of the program and so much big program. Like if you people see it, any program without like having idea, okay, what is this program, people be scared. Okay, such a long program, so many lines of code, so people will not be interested. The other coders who will be working on it will not be interested. Leave about the interest. Even the your efficiency of the program decreases when your lines of code increases. Okay, so next is the modular approach. So next is the modular programming. So here also it is in same with the top down approach. The top down approach, what we did, we have broken down the problems into sub problems, and then we take care of the sub problems individually. But here in modular programming, it will use the concept of this one only, like top down approach only. Here we'll like break down into separate modules, small modules. Okay, here we won't use the go-to statement. So go-to statement is something you haven't used. It's go-to statements we use in the assembly languages or the microprocessor languages, which you have not studied. Okay, if someone has studied basic logo, I don't think people have studied that things. Like in schools, we studied that basics and logo. So if you have studied, you have used it. But generally, we use this go-to statement. Like we have for loop, right? In like C programming, for loop, if loop. In for like to like we can then like we can, if you want to iterate within some statements. A go-to statement, what it does, if you want to go to some statement, if you have lines of codes, and if you want to jump to some other statement, then you can write go to line number 4 or go to step. So we directly can jump. But this is discouraged in modular programming, because sometimes using go to statements, your work becomes untraceable. We do not know where it is going, in which line this pointing to, and it is not a good idea. So that is why it is these go to statements are used in low level machine language. Okay, but we are here using the iteration subroutines, that is function calls and everything. Okay, so this is known as modular programming. Okay, next is the structured coding. So obviously it will take into account the modular programming also, and top-down analysis also. So here what we have done is in structured coding, like subdivide some modules. So whatever modules you got, you have separate modules. Like I just told you about the login module there, and again we have the registration modules. Again we have the booking module, cancellation module, or a special request. So that modules, this login also needs to be broken down into various subroutines. So I told you for any system, so there have to be two kinds of user. For booking module or for login module, there will be one administrator. Okay, one administrator, what he will do is, what is the role of the administrator? That they have the permission for everything. Okay, so whatever request the customer is, like that the customer is making on booking a ticket in the bus reservation system, so whether it should be allowed or not, so they need to accept that request or not. So like in our ERP system also, if we suppose we have different types of actors. We have studied about the use case diagram, right? So we use case actors, like actors. Who are the actors? Basically the users of the system. So for our college ERP system, so we have to think about, while this software was developed, they thought about who will be the different users of the system. So obviously the permissions for students will be different. The permissions for teachers, that is faculties, will be different. The permissions for the IT cell, it will be different. The permission for the management cell will be different. Now this we think that IT cell people are the administrator because they have the permission for everything. If some mistakes are done by the student, if some mistakes are done by the faculty or the management team, who are not, we are just a user of the system. So someone should be there to correct it, right? So this is the IT cell is doing that. So you can think that IT cell has a permission for everything. They can view the activities of the faculties. They can view the activities and manage the activities of the students. So everything. So these are known as the uh, they are known as the administrator. So administrator is someone who have the permissions of read, write, execute. So whether you can also want to view it, you have to if you have the permission for like changing it, changing or modifying the things. So similarly, in structured coding, what we do, like your modules are broken down into like separate modules. Just I told you about the login registration modules. So we break down into small codes. So I just told you for login part, we were discussing there how many types of users will be there. So for users, the permissions will be different in the login part. So that permission is given in this login module. So have to different works are there. Okay, so for administrator, the people they don't need to log in, so they don't need to register themselves because they already have the password and everything. Why do we register? To get our login ID and password, right? So this structured programming, they will use control structure. That is the all the control structure you have a for loop or if statements, right? Which controls the flow of the program. So when you have this such kind of loops, so obviously programming becomes easier. Think the purpose of the for loop. If you don't use the for loop or if you don't use the if loop, so you have to write the codes again and again. So it will increase the repetition and ultimately your program becomes inefficient, right? Next comes to functional programming. So, so in functional programming, what happens? The style of programming language which uses the concepts of mathematical functions. So whatever mathematical functions are there, we will be using the concepts in functional programming. So what happens? When we give the output, suppose we have written a program in C for addition. So whenever we provide the same argument, it should provide the same result on receiving the same argument. So if we provide, like we know it's a program for addition. So if we get 5 plus 3, it should produce 8, right? So in procedural language, the flow of the procedural language is you have done one of the procedural language is the C programming, right? So in procedural language, the flow of the program runs through procedures. That is, the control of program is transferred to the call procedure. So that is the call procedure. You think of the functions, right? In procedure, you have in C programming, you have done, you have created functions. You suppose you have done a recursion function, right? So what you do, you call that function again and again. You use the function for factorial of a number. You can do it using either for loop or you can use the recursion function, right? So you are transferring the control. When we are calling it, we are sending the argument and we are calling that function. So while control flow is transferring from one procedure to another, the program changes its state. So it will change its states, right? Again, in procedural programming, it is possible for a procedure to produce different results when it is called with the same argument. Okay, as the program itself can be in different state. The state of the program is also very important, right? We have started in the operating system also, the states of a system, right? So active state, inactive state, ready state. Okay, um, so this is a property as well as a drawback of procedural programming, in which the sequence of timing of the procedure execution becomes important. Now, this functional programming provides a means of computation as mathematical function which produces results irrespective of the program state. So, whatever the program state may be, whether it's active, inactive, ready, or whatever it is, it will produce a result. That this is makes it possible to predict the behavior of the program. So, here is some of the few concepts of the functional programming. So first is the first class and higher order function. So this function, what it has the capability of? So it has this function has the capability to accept another function as argument, or they return other functions as results. So what happens? That's the recursion. Okay, so recursion, it can recursion, what it does, it can take itself, right? It can take its own value as the argument. It can call itself, right? That means it is taking itself as the argument. So that is the high class or the high order functions. Then is pure functions. So these functions do not include descriptive updates. That is, whenever when introduce this function, when you write this function, it will not harm your computer or in your memory or IO. It will simply, if you want to remove it, you can if it's not in use, you can simply remove it. It will not hamper the functioning of the program. Then we have recursion. So you know that function calls itself. So it's basically a programming technique where a function calls itself and repeats the program code. It is in it unless some predefined condition matches, right? Suppose I gave you the example of recursion in factorial program. So there is a criteria that if suppose the number should not should be greater than 1. So if it is like equal to 1, then it will return 0. Otherwise, the loop will keep on repeating. Then in strict evaluation. So in functional programming, basically it has two types of evaluation methods, strict or non-strict methods. Okay, non-strict evaluation. So strict evaluation is always evaluates the expression before invoking the function. So before the function is called, it is evaluated. But non-strict evaluation, it does not evaluate the expression unless it is needed. So it will only evaluate the function when it is needed. Next is lambda calculus. So what is lambda calculus? The most functional programming languages use lambda calculus as their system. So lambda expressions are executed by evaluating them as they occur. So you can think of they're basically used in like research work. So you have not done it. So probably if you go for higher studies, you will be able to know it. Now these are some coding guidelines of structured programming to functional programming, and now we are coming to coding guidelines. So what you code like this, like coding conventions, coding languages may be different for every organization, but these are the some common elements. You have some common guidelines, so you have always have a naming convention. Now, naming conventions, like you should always name the functions, variables, constant, global variables, global and local variables. I think you people are aware of it. So you have to give a proper name so that if anyone leaves the company and some other people keeps on working, like they understand that it is easily understandable to them. Okay, then it's indenting. So indenting is the indentation. So tab space, whatever. Suppose if you are writing a if statement, the after the curly brace, the if statement appears in the you enter each like inside the loop only. Don't write in the, we say, right, indentation, keep the indentation, so it will increase the readability of the program. So what is white space? So white space is generally we should have to omit the at the end of the line. So then we have operators also, like we have this equal to, we have plus, like we have lots of logical operators, and or not. So we have to define it properly. Okay, then we have control structure. So control structure, we have this one, if else, then case, while. Okay, then line, then we have line length and wrapping. So how many characters should be used in one line? Okay, so these things. And then we have functions, like how functions can be declared and invoked with and without parameters. Variables, how variables of different data types are declared and defined. Okay, so commands. So ultimately, what doesn't matter which programming language you are using. That is why we people say, right, that if you know one programming language, it's very easy to learn the other programming languages, because you see, it's only the logic you need to develop. Otherwise, syntax is available only. If you know the logic, you know, if your logic is developed, that is how you can learn the other programming languages. It becomes easier. Last one is the software implementation challenges. So what are the implementation challenges faced? So what is the code reuse? So like every programming languages, if you have heard about the Python, so it has like various libraries. You are using like the Java has also separate libraries. What if we what we are doing is using this library. So in this library, or in C programming also, we are using this header file, this stdio.h, then stdlib.h. Why? Because the libraries are defined here. if we don't use the these libraries, what we have to do, we have to write these functions for it, and in these libraries these functions are already declared, so we don't have to write it. So that is why we go for this code reusability, otherwise we have to write it. So what is written here: programming interfaces of present day languages are very sophisticated and equipped with huge library functions. So just I gave you an example of C programming has its own library functions, then we have C++ also, and also Java and your Python. Okay, still, to bring the cost down of end product, the organization management prefers to reuse the code which was created earlier for some other software. So though, like I told you in one of the previous classes, that we have tried, suppose we have made the login and registration for some other project, for some bus reservation system. Now we are developing something virtual learning system, so we can use the same just a minute. Okay. Okay, then in that case also, we can instead of developing again and increasing the cost, what we can do, we can uh, like try to we can try to use the same modules. But what happens when you try to use the same module? Suppose you have used some different language, you have used PHP in the bus reservation system, but now you are going for like Java. So that means the code it's kind of difficulty faced by the programmer, that the logic is same, but you need to convert the coding language to it. So that is why it's the so how much compatible will be that PHP codes with the Java scenario? It's like none, right? So we have to think about it. So that is a problem in the implementation. Next is version management. So as the we have updates in every version. So you go for Microsoft Office or you go for WhatsApp. So it may be happening that in Java also, whatever like if you, whatever functions are were working in the earlier because I was working in a software named Weka. So whatever functions were supported in the earlier version, it was not supported in the next version, the updated version. So but I needed something about the sigmoid function which was working in the previous version, but it was not working in the current version. So I needed something, so I have to like uninstall it, the new version, I have to install the previous version. So this is one of the drawbacks. Okay, so because if some functions we tend to require it, but it's not there, so that is why we should include it. So this documentation needs to be highly accurate and available on time. Next is target host. So here what happens is the software program which is being developed in the organization needs to be designed for most host machines. Okay, host machines means someone who will host the client, not the client machine. So for the system it should be okay, but it is sometimes impossible to design it in the target machine. So that is the implementation challenges we have. So these are the three implementation challenges. So first is the code reuse, version management, and target host. Yes, now tell me any confusion. Clipping, everyone. Okay, just one more thing I'm repeating. Next Friday probably we'll be having. Okay. Next Friday probably we will be having like quiz. So please people like module 1, prepare yourself. Okay, and it may not be like direct question from the slides, but obviously if you go through the slide you can just have an idea of it. Okay, just go through it. And someone have a confusion about the modular programming. Okay, so in modular programming what happens is your project is suppose I gave you an example of the bus reservation system. Now let us take an example of this one, your ERP, college ERP system. Okay, so this ERP system, it's a very big software, right? So we can break the entire system into separate modules. Okay, like for your ERP, there are modules like login. Then we have for us, for faculties, we have upload notes. Then we can view student information. Okay, then course registration is there. Then we also have uploading questions, like uploading assignments. And similarly for you people, it will be separate, like things will be like viewing the notes, viewing the questions. I don't know, viewing the assignments may be there, questions may not be there. So a lot of things like, and also we have the attendance is there. So we have to give the attendance, and you can give the feedback for the attendance. So lots of these things are there. So if we do it as a whole, so it will become, so if we don't separate it into modules, into different parts, then what happens, it will become a very complicated software, complicated for the coders to develop it. So what they do, they like separate into this project is broken down into separate modules, and they work on this module separately. First of all, like they will work on the, okay, let's work on the, like whether it is possible to view the assignment or not. So how they will do the assignment module? Okay, so first think of it. Okay, there will be some in the database connections will be there. How we will do in the assignment connection? So suppose if we think about the assignment module will include both the things. Okay, view of the assignment also, and also uploading of the assignment. So later the permissions will be done later. So what, how will we do it? So think, uploading of the assignment needs to like you have to enter the subject code, subject name, and also like the question, and give the marks for the question, how many marks you want to assign. Then you have to use a submit button. So there must be a table for it. Okay, you are using now database, you are studying MySQL, so people are using MySQL, right? So you have to create in the table also same kind of table. Then you have to link, you have to create a design for the form. Okay, then you will link it using the some coding Java or like PHP, like we will code it. Then we have to retrieve, how we will retrieve this information, because you students have the permission to view it. So for viewing we have the, in RDBMS you have studied, for viewing you have to use the retrieval, right? And the retrieval command is the select command, so you will be able to view it. So that is how it is done. We will need to check. So after this, like we can upload it, that is insert the values into the database, and I have also retrieved it using the select from the table. Okay, so that means our assignment module is done. Now we can go for the uploading notes. Similarly, then each of these parts are done module by module, separate module, and then what we do, we integrate it. Okay, like we were done with the assignment. Now we'll go for the quiz or the questions. So if we combine it together and we'll test, right? We have gone for integration testing. We'll combine these two modules to check whether it's working properly or not. Okay, so here this is known as module programming, where we separate the way, like we break the break the programs, break the entire system into separate modules. What if, like if we don't go for modular programming, then we will do everything in a same page, or only what we say, like everything in a, then it will become more complicated. Okay, Junmuni, is it clear now? Modular programming. Yes, it is clear, or should I repeat once more? Students bored? Okay, okay, have a rest. It's over for today. Okay, thank you everyone. Okay, okay, y'all can leave now. Okay.
No, ma'am.